Tonight we explore the origin story of gentrification and how it translated itself in America. With roots in London, urban cores that were mostly minority and mostly low income underwent a swift transformation, while other communities were left out of a wave of investment. Here is part 2 of episode 5 of Follow the Line.
It's frustrating seeing the whole neighborhood being turned into these kind of units.
All the newcomers coming in the neighborhood made me feel like they're trying to push the people out.
The origin story of gentrification wasn't an American one.
The term itself is coined from a German-British sociologist whose name is Ruth Glass in the 1960s. And she really coined that phrase in London, right?
Christina Jones gave me more insight.
The gentry were the landowners and they collected rent from their tenants. She coined the phrase gentrification as she saw people moving from London to working class communities, especially as London's finance and government jobs grew.
When the idea crossed the pond, it exploded in urban cores.
When folks were moving to urban communities have been black, right? White flight in the 1960s, who were left largely in the communities, are folks who chose to stay and or people who were low income and couldn't necessarily move as the neighborhood was disinvested.
So now you have people that are starting to move back. We both would say that people consider gentrification to be the demise of black people all across urban cores in America. But would you disagree with that?
No, I mean, I would say that's how it's manifesting itself in America, right? I'd say that that's the majority of what we see, right? Mm-hmm. But I would say that you could look at some low-income working-class white communities and see that they're having similar effects.
It's good that some of this stuff is happening, but at the same time it's sad because so many people are going to be excluded from it.
Dr. Johnson says there are levels to gentrification, and right now New Orleans is at level 2.
Number 1, you know what? I have a high level of risk. I am like unoblivious to risk. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here, I'm going to start out renting or whatever. The second phase is what we call the risk-aware individuals. Those are people who are looking and say, wow, my goodness, so those homes are now available. I can get that property. I'm gonna put a stake in the ground because I know what the future of this area is gonna be. The third and final phase is really that phase where it's like no risk tolerance whatsoever.
While the inner city saw an influx of investment, communities like where I grew up in New Orleans East are riddled with abandoned buildings. So this empty parking lot at one point used to be the center of my world in New Orleans East. There used to be a mall that was here, and there was a movie theater, there was an ice skating rink inside of the mall during the wintertime. There were boutiques and there were businesses and thousands of people. Unfortunately, across large swaths of the East, we have what you see here, empty parking lots and empty buildings where businesses never returned.
I'll just go to Chalmette. There's nothing out here.
The East was a sprawling suburb of homeowners with different incomes, mostly middle class.
What did you find when you came out here today?
Heartbreak. Nothing that I wanted to see.
After the storm and the gentrification of communities within the inner city, many people found themselves pushed out in search for places to live where they could afford. There was an influx of residents in the East who were at or near the poverty line, and concentrated poverty can breed deadly results.
The way it looked like when you drive through certain areas, it's a total difference from when you look in the East and you look uptown on St. Charles.
Man, this is called the ghettoization of a community.
What does that mean?
That means you're pushing all the low-income people out in this direction, which from a spending pattern is counter to industry locating in the community. The lack of investment, it's the broken window theory. You know, you're not going to invest in the area and you see all of this. Unless the city comes up with a bona fide vision and strategy for New Orleans East, it's not going to move. Single-handedly looking at this stuff has gotten worse over the years, and I know people are trying, but it's like, I'm gonna quote LL Cool J, how you gonna go against the army with a handgun?
And that's the big question. How do we fix what takes an army? There are small units attempting to rectify the damage, but is it enough?
Sadly, when we looked at the data, the results were very depressing. They were depressing to us, and they were depressing to virtually everybody who's worked on advancing racial justice over the last 30, 40, 50 years.
That data and this report shows that while there have been steps towards progress, it will take an army to erase the lines that have disappeared from a map, but are physically, economically, and socially very present in our lives. So there's so much more that we can talk about, and we have enjoyed your feedback, the good and the bad. That means we have a lot more to talk about. I invite you to follow the line to our first report on our city's origin story, and a report that we brought you earlier this year. You can do that on our website, wwltv.com, or WWL's YouTube page.